going live in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hang on. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. It's currently 8 a.m. like normal. It is about, I want to say, 71 degrees outside, so it's nice. Like, we went to the gym this morning. Great workout got put in. Actually got to catch up with a friend of ours at the gym who he just got back from the Africa deployment. So for those of you who aren't in the military, the Army National Guard, the Thunderbirds here in Oklahoma, we just had a recent deployment for those who could go, and those who wanted to go. They went to Africa, and got to catch up with a guy who goes to the gym with us, who is in the Guard, and he was telling us all about how it was the most boring thing he'd ever done his entire life. Africa is a hotbed of so there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Africa. There's a lot of ISIS, Al-Shabaab, a lot of terrorist organizations operating in Africa. And as things go, it's just a little crazy right now. But they didn't have anything really happen. He said they had like a known jihadi walking around the base multiple times, and apparently the MPs or the gate guards didn't do a good job of keeping them out. But no acts of real terrorism took place. Nobody got injured or anything like that. So that's good to know. However, what's interesting is China had a military outpost there as well, 3 miles away from their base.
3 kilometers.
3 kilometers away from their base. How wild is that? A foreign power that we're not exactly friendly with having a outpost 3 clicks away. It's pretty interesting stuff. So we're hoping we can get him on. We'll have him on the Grand Old Time podcast, our military podcast, and just kind of pick his brain about how
his deployment
was and his time in service.
Experience in general.
So we're excited for that. So really looking forward for us being able to interview him. So as far as upcoming events in Owasso goes, no real changes to the schedule. You got the art gallery thing that the Owasso High School is hosting. So if you want to go by or look at some of the young up-and-coming artists here in Owasso's paintings or whatever art gala they put together, go check it out. And maybe you can even make a bid and purchase it. So be a pretty neat thing.
Absolutely. But yeah, there's no changes on the schedule. The ambassador meeting is today at 12 for the chamber. Again, that art thing, as you said, is happening for the rest of this week and this weekend. The golf tournament is on the 19th at 7:30 a.m.
Very good.
And that's at Bailey Ranch Golf Course for all you people who are wanting it to be at the Patriot. It's not there.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, not the Patriot.
And then the Run to the Beat 5K for the Owasso Band.
Yeah.
And that is on the 20th at 8:30 a.m. And, of course, that is at the Owasso High School.
Maybe we ought to go do that.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. It would be fun. Could be fun.
Yeah. So with that being said, that's what you got going on this week. Yeah, we've briefed it every single day this week so far. So if you're not paying attention, you must not really care about it. So with that being said, as far as national news goes, we're going to actually go back to a story yesterday, and we're going to put out a retraction. Like I said, when we're wrong, and we're going to own up and admit to it. So yesterday when we talked about the stabbing of Bishop Maramari, I talked about how there was a crowd of Muslims out there who were chanting "Release him." It was actually not Muslims. It was It was a group of Assyrian Christians who were still very, very salty about the stabbing, who wanted him. So that let us not be known that I do not print retractions, that I will come out and own up to the mistake that I made. So that's the group. So that's why I understood that Bishop Maramari, he had, put out a statement to them going, guys, water under the bridge, live and let live, let it go. So that's what he was talking about when he said that. So I didn't have full context or full understanding of the station. I watched a couple of videos about it and didn't really understand what the person was putting down, or just heard it out of context. So I just made an assumption there. So that's my bad. So that is my retraction for that video yesterday. But it still remains true, though, that the information that I put out saying that there were a bunch of Muslim apologists going out there and saying that it was a Christian, or excuse me, it was a Zionist Jew that stabbed Bishop Maramari was true. There is lots of disinformation out there still currently being cycled about that, being like, oh, he's a Zionist Jew, Mossad agent. So that is correct, though.
Yeah. There were comments and stuff all over that.
Instagram, Reddit, all over the place saying that, this is just sow trust between Muslims and Christians. So that's my retraction, putting that out there, so I'm owning up to it. Now, the news that we need to talk about today is I was watching Tim Pool, last night or this morning, and Tim Pool is getting his channel striked. He's got some channel strikes. And for those of you who don't really understand YouTube or how YouTube works, if you violate YouTube's terms and service as a creator or a video producer, you are what they call channel strike you. They'll take you down for a week. You won't be able to produce videos or post and stream. For a lot of these independent journalists who put their stuff up on YouTube, like Tim Pool, this is a big deal because this is how he generates his money, generates his revenue. YouTube is his livelihood. So the reason this is interesting is because Tim Pool got videos retroactively striked from 4 years ago when he had Joe Rogan and Alex Jones on his podcast. Mm-hmm. Like, that's insane. So he was in compliance 4 years ago, and then Google updated their terms of service and said, now it's not in compliance. For something that's 4 years old. They're making sure that people can't view your catalog, the history of his video and channel. So something that was 4 years old is out of compliance now, but wasn't then when he produced it, and wasn't for 4 years. I mean, I think you all can smell bullcrap the same way I can. This is nuts. So he got on the phone and was talking to what we call the toe the line people, the drones that the company basically just says, oh, you have good diplomat skills. You'll just talk and try to calm these people down. And he kept asking and probing and digging questions to go, oh, sorry, they didn't give me that kind of information. So, because that's what they do. Like, I mean, it's no different than whenever, remember when we were in that meeting through the company for the update on the fire stuff, the update for the fire hazard state now.
Oh, yeah, you're talking.
And you were probing, and none of those people that were put forward by the company to give us this information
could answer
the questions. He didn't have. They were just the diversity hire style folks who they put in there. Just like they had a bunch of women in there, just going, this is what the company's market is now, and you have to make sure that they're following these guidelines. And then when you probed them on specific questions, like, so if there's a tree within this amount of footage from the house, but it's not in their yard, it's in their neighbor's yard. Are we going to have to tell them to cut that tree down in their neighbor's yard or request their neighbor do it? And they're like, yes. And then you were like, you understand that that's not their property. They're not allowed to do that, right?
Yeah, the exact words I used was asking our customers to ask their neighbors to saw something down or to remove something on their property is a big ask of our customers because, hey, this might affect my insurance policy.
Yeah, your insurance be darned, this is about me. And the company's going to be like, yeah, you're going to get rate increases or you're going to get canceled based off whether or not your neighbor's willing to cut down this tree. So that's what we're talking about when it comes to these people who are put out there to calm the general customer base down. It's like they don't have any real answers. They're just toe the line people like, I'm a company man and I'm here to just tell you what the company told me to say, and they don't give you specifics. And if they don't give you specifics, it obviously means that they don't really care. They haven't really thought this new initiative through very well.
Yep.
They're just looking at it from a bottom dollar sign, which I get. I understand. Like, if you cannot make money, if you cannot go positive in your net gross for your company, you're dying. So I get it from that perspective, but at the same time, if you're going to have people tell you things, they better have solutions and answers to people's problems. Otherwise, you'll be looked at as, what would you look at him as? You're doing this out of spite. Particularly in Google's case with Tim Pool and his channel, it's clearly because the election's coming up. They're cracking down on channels that aren't pro the current administration. They're cracking down on people who are truth tellers. And that's why this is why on YouTube, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, they can show the videos of, let's say, Bishop Maramari getting stabbed. They can show the video footage of police officers shooting people. They're allowed to show that stuff because they're the mainstream media. They're allowed to have that stuff. They can have that stuff published on YouTube. Independent journalists and independent YouTube channels can't unless they want to be demonetized. You can post that stuff, but you're not allowed to make money off of it like CNN and MSNBC are. So there's a double standard being held here between the mainstream media, independent journalists, and people like Tim Pool. They don't want channels like him influencing the election. They don't want channels like his influencing independent thought and questioning why the government's doing certain things and making certain decisions.
Yeah. And the fact that they were told that there was nothing wrong with those videos the first time. He even, for the Alex Jones, Joe Rogan one that he had, I remember him saying, we called YouTube, we got the okay clear. The only rule was that Alex Jones couldn't post anything to his channel. If Alex Jones came on other people's channels,
it was okay.
It was okay. And now they're retroactively going back, you know, like what, 3-4 years ago, and being like, okay, now we've changed our minds again.
I mean, that is tyranny at its finest. Like, we've arbitrarily decided that everything you've done, we know you got consent from us to do this 4 years ago, but we've changed our minds. I mean, this is tyranny. Like, I mean, this is...
Who would go into a contract that you can just literally, at the spur of a moment, I changed my mind?
Yeah.
That is not a good deal.
No. I mean, that's the problem, though. YouTube is just a publishing platform. They can choose to say that... I mean, are they a publisher or are they just a video aggregation network, you know? That's...
Well, a publisher versus an editor.
Yeah.
You know, it's the phone company argument. Do you sue the phone company for every illegal conversation that's had?
Yeah.
No, you can't. Yeah, you can't. But, you know, you can't sue the phone company for someone talking about robbing your house or something like that. But YouTube is saying that it's actually an editorial place now too, which means that they're directly responsible for what they post or for anything that gets posted on their site. And that's the issue, is they're not, because hundreds of thousands of people use the website. I mean, even back in the day, terrorists would post, you know, beheadings and stuff on there, for goodness sake.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing about YouTube and Google in general. Our terms are explicitly vague, so we can arbitrarily apply the rules to people who we want. We already know that conservatives have already been, you know, what's the word? They've been targeted by shadow ban campaigns. The conservatives have always been shadow banned on all these social media platforms, and the left-wing stuff has been pushed. I mean, we already know Google's almost at, 68% left-wing bias in their search algorithms. I mean, that's almost 70%. So you get 30% conservative results, 70% left-wing results. Yeah. This is not a biased company. This is not a bias. Like, that's how you influence society. That's how you change the world. That's how you change people's thought process. Think about how recent of a thing Googling it is. Yep. Google it. That didn't used to be a thing.
Yeah, that was not a thing when we
20
were
years
kids.
ago.
Yeah, that was not a thing when we were kids.
Yeah, nobody ever just said, hey, Google it. No.
Well, here's the other part, too, is like we just learned from the NPR scandal from the...
Only hiring Democrats.
Yuri Berliner, that NPR has a huge hiring bias.
And, of course, the CFO came out and said, nope, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. He's a liar. He's a liar. Of course they're going to say that. That's a toe-the-line mother effer right there. You know, it's like, that's what corporation, they just want somebody who's going to toe the line and be like, hey, do what I say. Don't have an independent thought in your head. Just do what I tell you to do. That's not a good thing. You want to have independent thinkers, people who can think creatively and move forward. And who are also morally upstanding, too.
Yep, 100%. But that's what we're dealing with now.
Yep, we are dealing with... And again, Google also had that walkout for all the people who were calling them the
right.
they're pro-apartheid, you know, so they said Google's a pro-apartheid company, and then they had their own employees arrested. So, I mean, with friends like that, who needs enemies? You know, that's your employer, that's who you're working for. But I mean, Google cultivated this environment. They only hire left-wing people. James Damore, that guy that came out and said, yeah, the differences between men and women are obvious and real in their temperament. And Google was like, none of that. Men and women are the same. He got fired.
Him. Yep.
Fired him. James Damore, that was a big deal back in 2015, 2014 time. Yeah. It was a big firing. That was like the first real unjustified firing that Google had in there. I mean, for just him telling the truth. It's like, no, the truth isn't nice. Women and men are the same. And if you don't think that, then you're not Google material. You're not a googly man. So, yeah, pretty wild. So that's what Google is. It's just a big left-wing indoctrination organization full of left-wing thought and Marxists and pseudo-communists, It's pretty crazy. Scary. And again, that's why 70% of all your stuff you're going to get Googled is going to be from a left-leaning source. Not even a true source, just a left-leaning source. So you have to be very cautious about what you consume. That's why you need to get things like NewsGuard. It's like an app that tells you whether or not a topic you're studying or researching or even reading is got a right-wing or a left-wing bias. It's a pretty interesting little app. I'm going to have to get it too. So, we'll move on to more culture because what I'm trying to stay away from the
negativity.
Because yesterday when we were talking, I was like, boy, I just feel worn out. I just feel the weight. And I know you guys got to be sick of hearing it too, if you're listening. But I kind of want to go a little bit more culture-related news today. And it's not particularly good news. I guess it is kind of good news. So
I would say so.
Yesterday, there was a walkout of students, a bunch of kids at an elementary school or maybe a middle school in Utah. And they are sick of what they call the furry kids. Now, if you don't know what furries are, you must be living under a rock. But furries are like a subgroup or subculture, online culture. And I mean, not even just an online culture anymore. Now they have cons and they meet up and they hang out together. They have FurCon? What was it called?
The Rainforest.
Oh my God, I forgot. So yeah, I watched the Internet Historian's video on the Rainforest, and it's
probably
it's like
one of the
Comic-Con
best
for furries.
videos ever made.
Yeah, the Internet Historian is a fantastic channel. He aggregates a lot of weird internet subculture groups, and he's good.
I'm pulling up Google image of.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, if you saw the thumbnail was of furries, and we're. So I don't even know where to begin. So the kids staged a walkout because I guess they are upset that these other kids who are furries, like apparently they have litter boxes in the bathrooms now. They have, their little cat ears or their little tails that they wear around, and they act like animals. And apparently they pounce on other kids and do weird crap all the time. And there are teachers coming out saying, oh, that's not happening. That's not real. They're saying they don't come in full fursuits, but they are wearing the cat ears and the bandanas and the tails and stuff.
Which there are degrees to.
There are different levels of furries. There are some people who I just wear the cat ears and wear the tails. And if they have like butt plug tails and they have all kinds of weird stuff. So it is a degenerate subculture that you really don't want your kids being involved in. Now, is it all of them? No. There's always going to be like the ones that are a little bit more on the innocent side. However, it's always going to lead to the worst case scenario because it is just kind of a degenerate subculture of people. Yep. They have fur orgies. They do all kinds of weird stuff. It's just random hookup culture essentially. It's like we're hooking up with furries.
It is a degenerate, anonymous swingers group.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's literally what it is. It's it's like, what was that Tom Cruise movie, like Eyes Wide Shut? That's literally what it is, except
Eyes Wide Shut, but people who
dressed
are
as
mascots.
Yes, yeah. It's very creepy. And as you can see, if you're watching right now online, I've got the Google images pulled up, and it's cartoonish styled animals. So it's kind of a creepy scenario where it's kind of catered to children.
Yeah, so the suits are, if you've seen the suits, like some of these suits cost like $7,000-$8,000, and they're high production quality, very nice. If you didn't know any better, you'd just say, oh, wow, what a great costume. But if you don't know what a furry is, you'd be like, you need to be like, oh, that's really weird. Keep my kid away from that because I don't know what kind of weirdo is in that suit.
Yeah. Well, it's like the scandal that they always find where like all these birthday party, mascots or Disney people that are
they're all pedophiles.
They're all like convicted offenders in some weird way. So it's very odd and it's kind of disturbing. So
yes, so if you can't see, Chad and I are both wearing these shirts because one of our favorite the best cartoonists online they're called Flash Gets. Their social commentary is absolutely phenomenal. Like they have the best social commentary I've ever seen in They understand all of internet culture. They understand anime culture, weeb culture. They understand this furry culture. So I don't know if you have one of the videos pulled up, but I'll have Chad play. I highly recommend watching all of Flash Git's videos. They are all very good. Not all of them are like A tier, but there's nothing like, I don't think there's anything C tier. Like all of it's pretty darn funny. But if you don't understand these sub-internet cultures that your kids are involved in, or that, like, if we're explaining furries to you and you still don't understand, because we are giving you the teal deer version of what furries are.
Yeah.
Like, these little cartoons that Flash Gets puts together will help you get a better grip of what we're talking about here.
All right, I've got it pulled up.
Yeah, just play the first intro of it real quick, and then we'll move on.
Listen to me, Abomination. Your death will be quick if you reveal the source of your corruption.
You're too late. Our spread has already begun. The planet will fall, just like every other before it.
I understand. You were human once. But you were once called
Don't you say that name! Don't you say it!
Stephen.
I'm Strong Fang now! First of my name! My...
You have to stop it before they say anything.
Yeah, after that it gets pretty explicit after that, but that's a really good, like, that cartoon right there is fantastic. It does a fantastic job of describing this really weird culture. Like, you have us who like identify with the Crusaders, you know, who are like, we have to rid the world of this furry menace, and you have like that kid right there. Like, every furry is just a socially awkward kid trying to hide behind this ridiculous persona that they have. Persona. That word right there. Fursona. How ridiculous is it that that word exists today? This is my fursona. But yeah, I feel bad for these kids if they're dealing with this. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that kids got shoved in lockers for back in the day.
This is why bullying was kind of a good thing, too. It kept the weirdos in check.
Yes, like, you could, like, think of all the degenerate stuff we see just kind of thrust right in front of our faces here in modern culture. This is one of those things. You know, this is kind of one of those things where it's like you sat there and be like, I really want to dress up as a mascot and walk around and pretend I am this mascot. And you're just like, dude, what's wrong with you? Like, that's weird. Like, and there's nothing wrong with saying that's weird. But we've shamed the fact that people can say that's weird, and then you have all these people going, we're not hurting anybody. We're not hurting anyone. It's like, yeah, well, yeah, you're right. You're not hurting anybody. You know who you're hurting? You're hurting yourself. Because that's not a normal thing. It's very odd. And then the people that spend like $4,000, $5,000, $8,000 on these costumes, like, that's you. You're wasting money on that when you could be investing that money in more important things. You could invest it in things like Bitcoin. You could invest it in your savings.
You could start a business.
Start a business.
Go throw it into your economy, your church, whatever, your local township.
Instead, you're investing it in this fursona so you can waste more money going around to fur rainforest or whatever it is, and wasting money on plane tickets and stuff to go to fur cons.
Yeah, swingers events, anonymous swinger events.
Look, and I know that not all of you go to these anonymous swinger events, but again, it's still just a waste of time and a waste of money. You could be putting your effort and time into something that's more useful, more productive to yourself personally and society. That doesn't mean say goodbye to your wants and interests, but that's a want and interest that's just too odd, too strange. And there's a lot of, like, I mean, YouTube is full of, like, you know, furry subculture. Like, there are people who react to Flash Gets videos of furries reacting to furries. And it's just like, what?
Well, and then coming back to the whole issue that I have with it is the fact that these things are made cute and cartoony and appealing to kids.
Yes.
And that's the reason why it's taking off in, like, elementary schools.
Yeah, how is this any different from the anti-camel smoking campaign? Y'all remember the anti-camel smoking campaign? It's a cartoon camel. Obviously, it's being marketed to kids. How is this furry thing any different? They can all say, not all of us are degenerate sexual deviants. It's like, yeah, but you're still kind of throwing yourself out there in front of kids, and it's cutesy, and it seems like it is for kids.
Yeah, I mean,
If I was
look
a
at
little
these
kid,
things.
I would want to go up
These
to
costumes
one of
are
them and see it.
these costumes are colorful and pretty and all this stuff that
The eyes are big.
yeah, that attract children. I mean, that is what this is for. I said this is why they say they're not predators, but why if you're trying to make this for adults, why are you making them like this? Why are you out in the open
Yeah, these
doing
are the
this
weird
stuff?
These are the weird people from my generation that grew up watching cartoons and had a weird obsession with the cartoon characters and were like, I want to create my own character, except I want to live it and be it and walk around in it. It's just odd, very, very odd. So, be aware of what your kids are consuming. Be aware of these internet subcultures. It's a big deal.
Yeah, which is why we always advocate getting your kids. Don't give your kids a smartphone until they're like, 16, 18 years old.
Get in that old Nokia flip phone with the snake game on it.
That's it, because this kind of stuff is how predators and weird stuff like this take over.
Because it
your
seems
culture.
innocent. It doesn't seem like a big deal. Why don't you play the videos of the kids at the school, and you can play the other video I showed you. This other video that we're going to show has bad language. It's a
Which one do you want me to do first?
I
The
don't
one of
know.
the school or the one of the kids?
Let's do the school first, and you can do the kid who goes out there and thinks it's weird.
Will do.
So I mean, thank goodness for these kids. Let me know when the video starts playing. But these kids who come out and have rational reason, and then, like I said, I've seen news videos of the teachers going, "It's not that big a deal," but again, teachers are not always going to see the craziness. They're not always going to catch.
It's up, by the way. It's
No.
playing.
Okay,
The kids
perfect.
are yelling right now.
All right, go ahead.
But yeah, this is the student walkout at Nebo School District in Utah. And they're protesting the kids who are identifying as furries because they terrorize them in the school.
Mutants.
Litter boxes in the girls' bathroom? And the boys. They started putting litter boxes. Yeah, litter boxes.
I heard that was just a rumor.
No, it's true.
Is this something you've seen?
Yeah, they're putting litter boxes in the bathroom.
So we can't talk or say anything to the furries or even look at them, but they can come look at us and they can say stuff to us and touch us. And they don't get in trouble, but we get in trouble.
Interesting. That sounds like a double standard to me.
Yes.
Okay, you guys stay on the sidewalk, okay?
Yeah. But yeah, it's these.
So are they wearing a mask every day?
Yes. But every time they go, they're always just wearing a mask. But the principal finally stood up and banned those stuff.
But they still wear them every day. And they don't get in trouble. The principal doesn't make them get in trouble.
So think about that. So you have these really odd kids. It's kind of like the trans and gay stuff. Like, these kids are the untouchables now. They can't be yelled at. You can't fight back because they are a protected class in the schools now. Teachers be like, "Oh, don't bully those furry kids. They're a protected class." So these kids just go out and protest and go, "We don't want to be a part of it anymore," if that's the thing. Good for them. And a lot of this is, for a lot of these furry kids probably don't even buy into it that much. It's just they know that if they are a protected class at school, they can get away with murder now. They can go around and pounce on these other kids and bark at them and annoy the crap out of them and not have any reprisals for it. Because if the kids fight back or shove them in a locker like they should be doing, then they're the ones who are going to get expelled, and the furry kids are going to be able to stay in school. This is so odd. Again, I am not pro-bullying, but at the same time, this is why bullying existed. It was to keep odd behaviors in check.
Behaviors that are socially unacceptable to keep in check. Now, there is the cases of bullying
Where
where
take
you're
it too
picking on
far.
somebody for no reason or because they're different or whatever, or dressed different, poor, whatever it could possibly be. But that's not the case in this situation. This is like, hey, what you're doing is not socially acceptable, and it needs to be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if somebody just came and started barking in your face. You'd be like, respectfully, I'm going to need you to get out of my personal space, you odd weirdo.
Yeah.
But that's what your kids are being told they have to deal with in school. You have to accept all these weird subcultures that all these kids are a part of. Not only accept them, you're not allowed to say anything about it. You're not allowed to comment about it. You just have to take your licks, go to school, and deal with it. So that's odd. You can't like I mean that is unreasonable to ask kids to have to just do that, just to accept this weird degeneracy. Again, this is why I say tolerance, death by tolerance, death by 1,000 cuts. And you wonder why all these kids are turning into furries and turning into LGBTQ and trans people.
Yep.
Because we're inundated with it in every aspect of society. We're getting punched in the face, left and right.
I forget who said it, but it was a bishop that said it, way back in the day. But evil preaches tolerance until it is tolerated.
Yep. Yep. So true. So go ahead and play this final video where, again, I'm glad that these kids are coming out and doing this. So Libs of TikTok posted a video where, let's just say another kid comes out and is not tolerant of it and I think is doing what should be done. Is like he's language advisory.
What the fuck is this one? Hey, Bart! Oh, hell no. Y'all niggas wildin' on my mama.
Do not make fun of it.
What the fuck? Talking about do not make fun of this. What the fuck is this? Y'all niggas doing this shit in public? What the fuck? You want a treat to it? I got you.
He throws a bag. He throws a bag at her because she goes, "You bark for a treat." He throws like a bag of chips at her.
See, that is reasonable. Like what that kid did going outside, he's just saying what normal people are thinking. Like you go outside and you're like, what are you doing out here? Yeah. Like that's a normal reaction. That's what I would expect from 99% of the school. But now you get these subcultures that are coming in and taking over, and all these kids have to be accepted. You have to, I bet you that kid will be the one that gets kicked out of school for posting that video online and bullying them. That is some weird behavior. If I was a parent and I drove out there and saw my kid doing it, I'd be like, oh my gosh. I am ashamed that I parented a kid that thinks that that's socially acceptable behavior in public. Like, holy cow. I understand that I could see a 5-year-old doing that, like in elementary school, but that's got to be a girl in high school, right?
Yes, it's definitely a girl in high school.
Going on, wearing a leash for crying out loud. That's insane. People, even when I was in high school, people would call out the weird kids. I remember seeing some kids walking around with having those choke collars with the girls. That was... at least that was just a kink thing where like girls like, I just like being choked. It's like, but it was still not socially acceptable. Like people would be like, what are you doing? Yeah. That's weird. You're in public for God's sakes. That was when I was in high school. Now it's, I'm a dog. Woof, woof, woof. Accept me for who I am. Get some kitty litter in the bathroom. So that's what we're talking about. So I'm glad that the kids are rebelling against this and coming out and being like, yeah, this better not be. If this is a dog park, then we need to go to a real school. So that's about all we've got for you today. Remember, help us here, stop the furry menace, join the brotherhood. So with that being said, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. This is the Twins with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. God bless y'all and have a wonderful day.
See you later, everybody.